Hello and welcome back to Solo Board Gaming presents Heart of Darkness by Legion Wargames and designed by Kim Kanga. And we are about to have an adventure game of African exploration in the late 19th century. And we're going to do a playthrough demonstration of at least a couple of full game turns. But we're going to start in this short video with just the setup. So I've just zoomed out for a short while just to show the extent of the map. You still can't quite see on the map because it's quite a long map. It accommodates comfortably 5 players around its perimeter. But today we're going to play solo. And by solo this time, I mean completely solitaire. We're going to outfit just one expedition. So this is what we're doing in the short video. We're going to go through a single player setup of Heart of Darkness. Now, let's take a look. Now, luckily, in the game manual, in the rulebook, the setup of the game is explained really clearly. Very clearly, step by step. It's really easy, and even on your play mat, if you like, which I've just placed on top of the map for now. I would normally have it to the side, but I've placed it on top of the map just so we can see it. And even on here, all the starting points, the relevant starting points, are clearly marked. I've chosen yellow. So the first thing you want to do, for instance, yellow is my player colour. So punch out all of the yellow player counters, and we'll start placing them now straight away. So first of all, you've got a couple of your explorer counters here, for instance. One of those is going to go in the helpfully entitled Start Here box on the player sheet, like so. The second explorer counter is going to go on the port of entry of your choice. So for the purposes of this demo, we're going to use West Africa, Angola here. So we're going to place it like so. So that's where I'm going to start. So I've got one explorer there, and he's represented over here on the matrix. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to look at my Ascaris and Porters. Ascaris and Porters. So, Ascaris. These are the guys that are armed with rifles, and we've hired these guys to help protect our expedition. And at the 6th point here, it shows Ascaris at start, and that's where we place our counter. So that's how many Ascaris we start off with, 6. And Porters, we start off with, there it is, Porters at start, 60. Now, very briefly at this stage, you'll notice that starting off with 8 Porters, we can carry 60 of weight for food and gifts. So let's do that next. Let's do our food. We start off with food track here in blue, 20 food at the start. And food counters are divided in tens and units. So there's one on the 20 track there, and the other one at 0 on the units. And the gifts. Gifts, you start at 10. So 10 gifts there, and put that one on the 0 track. Now to carry that amount of food and gifts, we need, because the total weight is 20 plus 10, 30. And you only ever count the tens. For instance, let's say we had 28 food. We would only count wherever the 20 is. So by that, I mean we'd need, there's 20 food and 10 gifts. Total of 30. So we need 5 porters. Even if the food is showing 28, we ignore the units. We only count the tens each time to determine how many porters we need. So at the outset then, really, we only need 20 and 10, 30. There's the weight there. So we would only need 5 porters. Why that many? Well, the first 2 porters, and again it's clearly shown in a different colour here on the map, the first 2 porters are not carrying your gifts or your food, they're carrying your resources, and we'll come to that next. So that's our food and gifts setup, and we have our porters and our Ascaris. The next thing, discontent. The discontent marker starts here, so you start off with 1 discontent. Now, discontent can grow within our expedition each time we lose Ascaris and or porters. Discontent grows, and if discontent ever reaches 10, basically that means the rest of your expedition rebel, kill you, and the game is over. So we need to keep our discontent down that way as much as we can. The next thing, ammunition. The ammunition starts off, and we'll explain a bit more about this later, starts off at the same spot as your Ascaris. So ammunition starts off there at 6. We have our health, shown by the skull here. That starts off at 5, and again it says there set up at start. And we have our sanity, shown by an image of the painting The Scream, and sanity starts there at 5. We have to be very careful about our health and sanity on our expeditions. That's quite a thematic part of the game there. The next thing we have to do, you've got this hourglass marker here. That's going to mark our time for each of our game turns, and this is the time track. So we start off there on 10 for time scale, and finally the book is our diary, or if you like, our drama points that we're building up throughout the whole game. Our drama points therefore starts here at the start of the drama track, which goes up to 50 drama points. The next thing we do is we choose a patron from the 5 patrons here on the board: Royal Geographic Society, the financiers, publishers, the news, politician or science. So we choose any one of those sponsors for our expedition. Let's go with Royal Geographical Society, and you place that on your port of entry, like so. And it stays there for the game. That's just to remind us. In fact, we can now remove the rest of them because we're playing solitaire. So far then, that's more or less our player mat set up, ready for the start of the game. We've got our direction marker ready to use on the matrix. Doesn't matter where we put that really, it can be just off map, but I'll just place it there at the top of the matrix ready to be used. And we've got our turn marker, and we'll come on to that in a second to show how we actually set that up. Next thing, of course, what happens to the rest of the counters? Well, we have 3 draw cups that we're going to be using in the game. And I've used these 3 paper beakers, like so. And in one draw cup, we plonk all of those strange coloured shape markers. And you'll notice that those, the various coloured shapes, correspond to the shapes of each of your borders surrounding all of the areas. So they are used for a couple of different things when we're mapping the terrain. And then we've got a cup full of special, and it's these green ones. Where are we? Special discoveries like so. So all the green special discoveries, Lost World, Haunted. There's some great things in these special discoveries. Christian, I don't know what that means. Never picked that one up yet. Zombies. Plague. So special discoveries, they go in a separate cup as well. And then finally, we have a cup full of, I won't take them all out, but all of the river counters. Now, that includes the various special sources, like so, the river sections, the forks, the marshes. Where are we? Basically, all of the river or waterway and lake counters, they all go in a cup. But some of the sources, if I can just move this down like so, there we go. Some of the sources, the generic sources, go in this new source box in the corner of the map, like so. So all of the generic sources, you separate all those from the other river counters, and then you place 5 of the generic river sources into the cup with the other river tokens. And maybe you can see that from the illustration that I've placed on the screen, where we've separated 5 out. They go in the cup with all of the other river sources and river sections, and the rest of them go in the new source box on the map. The next thing we do is we pile the mapping terrain tiles to the side of the map. In fact, I'll move those over here. Where we have the jungle, the savanna, the veldt, and the desert terrain tiles. One of the last thing we do now is choose resources to start the game with. So first we select ourselves a resource pool, and this is our resource pool over here. And this is the pool from which we're going to choose our resources to start the game. I'll put another illustration up now where you can see how you take all of the resources at the start of the game, tip them all out onto the table, and the resources are all those white circles. And these are the ones I've discarded here. So you're actually tipping them all out onto the table, dividing them up to find out which are the abundant ones, and those are the ones with the larger piles. You should be able to see that in the illustration. So those are called abundant. And the ones with the shorter piles are the ones which are not so abundant, the rarer ones. So from the rarer ones, you can just pick, if we're playing with one player, solitaire, just pick one of each example. And that's what we have over here. Because there's only one of us, we just take one example from the rarer resources. From the other resources, we can take 2 examples of each. So we have 2 of the ammo tokens, 2 of the rifle tokens, the Bible tokens, the quinine, and so on. Okay. If we were playing, I don't know, let's say with 3 people, or if we're playing solo 3-handed, instead of taking one of the rarer tokens each, we would take 3. Yeah? And of the more abundant ones, we would take 6, because we double it. So that's how the resources work, and then from there, we can draw the resources we're going to use for the remainder of the game. So this is where we now choose to start our game 20 points of resources. Got to be careful with the resources because there's little or no chance of replacing resources throughout the game. So we basically need to take everything on our expedition that we think we might need. Now I'm going to choose these fairly randomly. But first of all, if we take a look at our player mat, maybe the first thing we want to do is, because if I show you, now with our 20 points, we can buy various resources. 1 point per resource, we can buy extra Ascaris and porters and ammo, or 1 point of resource will get us another 5 gifts or another 10 food. So as I said, I've got 20 points of resources. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to give myself more Ascaris. 1, 2, like so. I've spent 2 resource points out of my 20. I'm going to spend another 2 by buying more ammunition. 1, 2. So I've spent 4. I'll keep the porters as they are, but I've spent 4 resource points. So if we remember that. Food. So it's 1 resource point per 10. So my food will go from 20 to 40. So that's a total of 6 resource points. And my gifts will go from 10 to 20. So that's another 2. So that's 8. I think I'll leave it there. So I've used 8 resource points to bump up my Ascaris, my ammunition, my food, and my gifts. I've got 12 points left, and with those 12 points, I'll now choose resources. I'm definitely going to have a compass. I'll have some surveying equipment. Just sounds like more sense to me. Definitely a canteen. I've got 12 points, haven't I? Definitely a canteen. Telescope. Let's take a telescope. I'm just thinking, we're exploring, you see, and mapping. So that's concentrating my mind at the moment. What else? Machete. Again, for the same reasons. Some more ammunition. Well, first of all, I'll take a rifle. Yeah. I'll take 2 quinine. I'll take 2 cannabis oil. We had 12 to spend, didn't we? We were left with 12 out of the 20. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, just 2 left. Just 2 left. Okay, I think we'll go with, I don't really know why, but I'm going to take a Bible. 1 to go. I'm going to take 1 ammunition. We'll take one extra ammunition with us. So I think we're quite happy with that. So we have our draw cups. The rest of the counters we've put in our 2 draw bags. Now, one of the draw bags contains all of the discoveries and event chits. Discoveries and event chits are, whoops, not the camera, are all these on this sheet here. See all the ones with borders, green borders, scenery, red borders, discoveries, findings of green borders, and incidents like so. All of that bottom half of this card are going in one of the bags. The other bag will contain all of the white counters, because they will be all the encounters. So that's in this bag here, in the lighter faux Hessian bag. And with that, I think we are more or less set up to start our first game turn, which will be in the next video. So let's hurry along to it. See you there. Thanks for watching. Cheers.